On behalf of the committee, I call this to order. Sorry, I didn't give you a heads up. We were gonna start. My apologies. Well, welcome to the March 2024 meeting of the College Partnership Laboratory School Standing Committee. First, the committee would like to thank the University of Virginia, UVA, for their hospitality and hosting us on site today. Thank you very much for doing that, especially during spring break. I will note that I have approved the remote participation of Mr. Bill Hansen under the board's bylaws, section 2.23708.3B3 of the Code of Virginia, as such participation is allowed because his principal residence is more than 60 miles from the meeting location identified in the notice. Dr. Armstrong, please call the roll of the members of the standing committee.
Yes, ma'am. Chair Winiska,
Present.
Vice Chair Moran,
Present.
Mr. Bailey, Mr. Hanson, Mr. Rosner.
Present.
Thank you. At this time, if you'd please join me in a moment of silence, and then we will proceed with our approval of the agenda. All right. At this time, the members of the standing committee were provided an amended agenda in advance of the meeting. Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the amended agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Aye for the
Aye.
chair. And
Aye.
okay. All right, the motion is unanimously approved, and we'll proceed with our consideration today. All right, now we'll prove to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented to the standing committee?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye as well. Any opposed? The motion is unanimously approved. At this point in the agenda, we typically take public comment on the agenda items. At this time, there's no public comment. But I do want to just share again on behalf of the standing committee, we accept public comment on all matters related to the College Partnership Laboratory schools in Virginia. Public comment is an important consideration and valued input to the standing committee. And given the time and cost to travel, and again, for the benefit of the public record, the standing committee always welcomes and encourages the public to either submit written comment or to certainly participate remotely and to provide that comment to us.
And Ms. Wadiska, Mr. Hanson just logged in.
Thank you very much. And the committee, I want to note for the record, for the benefit of everyone in the room and listening online, that Mr. Hanson has joined the committee deliberations as well. Good morning, Mr. Hanson.
Good morning.
As we begin today's deliberation, I want to acknowledge the recent Senate and House budget language, the ongoing budget deliberations between the governor and the General Assembly, and the questions that this has prompted from applicants and the public. The committee will receive an update on lab schools, including the budget language under item D. As part of this update, on behalf of the committee, Dr. Armstrong and I will review the committee's process to consider public lab school applications, clarify terminology, such as what's the difference between a lab application under review, one that's pending, or one that's been approved. We'll also provide information on the approved public lab schools and an update on the lab school applications received to date as part of our usual pipeline update. As members of the standing committee, our role is to develop procedures for receiving, reviewing, and ruling on lab school applications from Virginia's colleges and universities, and to advise the state board therein. Since day one, the committee members have dispatched this duty with great care, creating a rigorous, high quality, and deliberative process. The standing committee's focus has been on durable, financially sustainable, locally supported public lab schools that adhere to all applicable state and federal laws and that afford high quality, student-led public options. In total, 21 higher education institutions from across the Commonwealth have submitted lab school applications. To date, 4 applications have earned the committee's support and been referred to and approved by the State Board of Education. Today, as part of our regularly scheduled monthly meeting, the committee will consider 3 pending lab school applications. And with this, I want to welcome our 3 pending lab school applications to today's meeting. Congratulations on getting to this point in the process. We truly do appreciate how hard this work is. So let us begin. Item A is second and final review of college partnership lab school application from Mountain Gateway Community College. The committee will hear from Dr. Worth and Ms. Tamara Lipscomb from Mountain Gateway Community College, followed by Dr. Armstrong, who will provide a staff report. After Mountain Gateway speaks, Dr. Armstrong will provide his report, and we'll certainly have time for Q&A from the committee. So at this time, Dr. Worth and Ms. Lipscomb, please proceed with your prepared presentation.
Thank you for that introduction, and I want to thank the Laboratory School Standing Committee for hearing us today. Our application is generating a lot of buzz here in the Allegheny Highlands and across the Southern Shenandoah Valley, which is the area that we serve. I'd like to recognize other members from Mountain Gateway Community College here today. Joining us is College President John Renoni.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us again.
Also joining us is Alex Morrow. He is our planning grant director. Alex.
Yes, hi everybody. I appreciate you supporting the remote call, but it's wonderful to be here. Super excited about the lab school to see the progress that we're going to make in the future.
And also joining me is Tamara Lipscomb, and she'll be helping me with the presentation.
Good morning.
I do have a PowerPoint. Would you like me to share that, or is that PowerPoint also on your screen as well?
Both.
Okay.
Sure.
So I will move forward to the second slide, partner high schools.
All right, hold tight 1 minute, Dr. Worth. I'll go ahead and get it up the screen.
We're going to get this all squared up for you.
Sure. And while you're doing that, I wouldn't, since I've got the opportunity to talk to the committee, one thing I'm really proud of is the work that we've done coordinating with our local high schools, as well as business and industry here in the Allegheny Highlands and Shenandoah Valley. We have support from all of our high schools in the area. So we serve Allegheny County, Bath County, Rockbridge County, and the northern half of Botetourt County. And the school systems in those areas are supporting us. We've had great conversations with superintendents and principals. We also have support from our local chambers of commerce in all these areas, as well as support from business and industry. So it's been a real collaborative process. And one of the things that this school is really going to be able to do is take the IT instruction that is already happening in our local schools, but take it to a much, much better level, where we'll be able to provide students leaving high schools with significant industry recognized certifications, where they can go out straight to work with those certifications, and also provide them with pathways on to additional study in 2-year and 4-year institutions. So let's see, with that, let's move to our industry partners, which, well, I'll leave this up. Industry partners, thank you. So we've been working closely with the Virginia Military Institute. They have a cyber defense lab that's been supportive of us. The Connolly Center for Entrepreneurship at Washington and Lee University. Amazon Web Services has been a supporter of the Virginia Community College system in curriculum development, so that the curriculum that we use to teach our cloud computing courses was developed through them. Cengage is a national leader on providing educational materials. They are providing and have agreed to provide a discount on those materials to our students. And we're starting to build, and CompTIA, they provide discounts on certification vouchers. They also provide professional development support for the faculty who will be teaching these courses. And we're starting to build more and more partners, such as Curley and Rockbridge Community Hospital, which will be locations where our students will be able to do internships and get some experiential learning, which was one component of our lab school that we're really excited about. Next slide, please. One of the things we're really excited about is a flexible delivery of our course content. So this will allow our students to come to our campus, face to face, learn in a brick and mortar location. We have, and with the funding we hope to receive, we'll have an excellent first rate laboratory experience for our students. We realize that some of our students may have conflicts with travel. The area we serve is large geographically. Some of our students may have to travel up to 45 minutes or more to come to the main campus of Mountain Gateway Community College to do the laboratory school. So we will be providing support through Zoom for students who need to get live action, just like we have here today. And we also have asynchronous support as well for that. So that if there's a student who's not able to come to campus or is not even able to get to the Zoom section, we have, through our learning management system, we use a system called Canvas. We're able to provide access to all of the educational content so that students won't fall behind if there's any problems with travel coming to our campus. We've been instrumental in delivering HyFlex instruction here on our campus for several years now, going back even before the pandemic, and we're excited to be able to deliver this to high school students as well as part of this laboratory school. Next slide, please, and I'll let Tamara Lipscomb, our Information Systems Technology Program Head, talk to you a little bit more about the different technology pathways we are planning.
Good morning again. So on this slide, you'll see that we have 3 areas. And we hear especially of cybersecurity and cloud computing every day. Those are 2 terms that a lot of people, they know cybersecurity, they know we have to be safe and secure, but they don't really think about what it means. So cybersecurity professionals could either be in a role where they're in cyber defense or cyber offense. And those cyber defense professionals protect our organizations from evolving threats, safeguarding our sensitive data and systems from breaches and attacks, as well as providing incident response when something, unfortunate does occur. On the other side, we have cyber professionals who are ethical hackers, and they help those defensive professionals find and mitigate those vulnerabilities. Here at MG Tech, we provide comprehensive training that focuses on both offensive and defensive practices, because we believe that IT professionals need to understand both offensive and defensive tactics to provide a truly secure infrastructure. This career path, as you probably already imagine, offers top pay and dynamic challenges to folks daily. So that is a big draw to the field. Cloud computing, another one we hear all the time. It is a delivery of computing services that includes servers, storage, databases, networking, software, and analytics over the internet. And now that internet is commonly referred to as the cloud. So this offers increased innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale. Cloud computing has really revolutionized business operations. So this pretty much equates to those specialists earning top pay as they drive that digital transformation that we just talked about by designing and managing cloud infrastructure. Again, that economies of scale that we just talked about. Both of these career paths, excellent pay and opportunity for remote work, which is essential to our service area. Lastly, you see IT technical support. These professionals in IT technical support roles, they provide that frontline assistance for seamless IT operations. They troubleshoot the technical issues, ensure systems function smoothly, and their prompt attention to these issues reduce downtime for businesses. So it's a very, very important career path. This career path is often where the most growth happens for an IT professional, and it is really an amazing entry point for anyone aspiring to go into IT. It provides a solid foundation, and it opens doors to other opportunities in more specialized area. This career, this option actually can be a career on its own, or it can blossom into a more specialized role. If you can think of any business right now, from our hospitals to our real estate offices, anywhere you can think of, banks, they need frontline support. And that's what we kind of refer to as our feet on the street folks. So these folks could provide remote assistance, or they could be local. Next slide, please. In our lab school design, we have 3 levels, 3 years, but 3 entry points really. So as you can kind of see from this slide, it's ideal for our students to begin their program in their sophomore year by taking a course in digital and information literacy, and that ensures that they have the skills needed for more advanced classes. Next, they dive into programming, which is really essential for any IT path, And we've chosen Python programming because it seems to fit IT, many areas of IT the most. Now, in their second year, they'll start focusing on industry certifications and preparing for one of those three choices paths that we just saw. And they could actually choose more than one path. This arrangement of coursework does allow for a late starting entry into our lab school. So if a student didn't get to enter in their sophomore year, they can jump right in their junior year. And then in their last year, students are immersed in more advanced courses and are preparing for more industry certifications. This design actually allows for differentiated learning by allowing advanced students to pursue more certifications while providing the time to mentor and prepare students who might need additional support. In addition to this given curriculum, students will also have an opportunity to participate in enrichment activities to explore the material more deeply in a more applied manner. And some of those examples include maybe capture the flag events, listening to industry speakers, and taking field trips. Next slide. Thank you. The certifications that we mentioned are here on your screen. As you already have heard, CompTIA is an industry leader in certifications. We are a CompTIA partner, and we're also a designated Cisco Networking Academy. It's through these partnerships that we can bring high quality materials and certification opportunities to our students. And again, what's on your screen here, these are some of the most highly sought after certifications by employers.
As we draw this to a close, I really want to emphasize the opportunity for creating meaningful careers for the students that we'll be serving through MG Tech. The average salary in the Allegheny Highlands is $60,000 a year. That's $24,000 less than the national average of $80,000 a year. You can see listed here the average starting salaries for careers that students exiting this program with those certifications in place could hope to earn. And those are jobs that are available both through businesses in our service area, but also businesses statewide and nationally, allowing for remote learning for students to do that kind of work. So we're really excited to be able to provide a real meaningful stepping stone for the students here in our service area. With that, I'd like to answer any questions that the committee may have about the MG Tech proposal.
Thank you, Dr. Worth and Ms. Lipscomb. Before we proceed with committee questions, I do want to note that John Bailey has also joined us remotely, and I have approved the remote participation of Mr. Bailey under the board's bylaws, section 2.23708.3B3 of the Code of Virginia. As such participation is allowed because his principal residence is more than 60 miles from the meeting location identified in the notice. So with that, I'll open it up to questions from committee members. If there are any questions.
I just have one, and that is that I always, thank you, Andy. I keep coming back to how do we make sure that students prior to 10th grade are going to be able to have opportunities that open those pathways? Because too often what we find is that some kids get those experiences and others don't. And I'm wondering how you see building out opportunities, perhaps starting as early as middle school for students.
Thank you for that question. And one thing you'll see in our full application is a summer camp. We've currently run this already in partnership with the Cyber Patriot Camp. So this is a summer camp opportunity for students that would be in middle school or early high school that would have a fun on-campus experience where they learn about cybersecurity. And Tamara, I might let you say a little bit more about the Cyber Patriot Camp, but it's a great way to get students who are middle school interested in these kinds of opportunities. That way students in their freshman year can learn more about our laboratory school proposal, so they'll be ready to start as sophomores.
Yeah, I can tell you our cybersecurity Cyber Patriot Camp over the summer was very successful. Students love it because it's very hands-on. It's not just listening about the material, but it's learning something and then going and hands-on apply it. And the last day ends with a competition against other Cyber Patriot campers throughout the nation. So it really is a wonderful opportunity to get kids really ingrained and hands-on.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a fantastic proposal that we're really excited about. One of the things you talked about is just how leading edge it is in terms of jobs and opportunities for kids. I just have one question. I just want to make sure we're all clear. It talks about Mountain Gateway's community colleges, very admirable commitment to lowering financial barriers for kids to participate and really inclusive approach there. But I just want to make sure we're crystal that's lowering barriers in this case for things like obviously setting up the testing center so that the tests are available, test fees that may come with some of these credentials and so forth. This is a public school that's open to all kids regardless of financial circumstances. I just want to make sure, just to clarify that with you before we move forward.
Yes, and I can say that definitively. Yes, it will be open to all of our to all the students in our service area, regardless of ability to pay. That's something that MG Tech will take very seriously. It's something the Mountain Gateway Community College takes very seriously to make sure we have an equal access to opportunity for all of our students.
Thank you.
Questions from other committee members? I have one clarifying question as well. In the section on the lottery process, there's a term used as a modifier to students. It's qualified students. And in our feedback to the applicant and in other places in the application, it denotes that the Mountain Gateway Tech will use a lottery system and it will be open to all students. So again, I'm just clarifying that. Could you please restate, is the school open to all students or qualified students?
It is open to all students. They would need to be qualified in the sense that they are residents of our service area and enrolled in. Well, I think that's the key point there is that they meet our residency requirements.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, hearing no further deliberation on this item, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Armstrong to provide the staff report on this application.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, I am pleased to provide you with this overview of the now reviewed Mountain Gateway Community College Technology Education Center, MG Tech Lab School proposal, a partnership among Mountain Gateway Community College, Rockbridge County Public Schools, Buena Vista City Public Schools, Bath County Public Schools, Allegheny Highlands Public Schools, and Botetourt County Public Schools. The goals of MG Tech, which include providing high school students with a comprehensive education in information technology, including cybersecurity, AWS cloud computing, and IT support, preparing students for IT careers by offering courses that lead to career studies certificates, providing a springboard to an associate's degree in IT, providing knowledge and skills necessary to obtain industry-leading certifications by providing hands-on, project-based learning opportunities that will allow students to develop the skills and knowledge they need to succeed in the field, are responsive to the local need to provide support to students served by MG Tech to establish exposure and earn credentials that lead to high-wage, high-skill, high-demand jobs in the IT and cybersecurity industry. That, importantly, would potentially allow students to remain in the region served by Mountain Gateway Community College, a region that hopes to improve the overall workforce demand and retention conditions. Students enrolled in MG Tech will be served in a program based on the HyFlex model, which provides students with the choice of learning modalities, including synchronous online learning, asynchronous learning, and in-person learning. This approach will allow students to personalize the learning experience based on their individual styles, preferences, and needs, and curriculum innovations that leverage other existing programs in the students-based school. The curriculum unfolds over 3 dynamic years, each building upon the previous to create a scaffold learning experience, which is purely based on the goals of the computer science standards of learning. In years 1 and 2, students are, as you have seen, exposed to Python programming, digital literacy, computer applications, and specialized modules in networking, PC hardware, and OS architecture before year 3, when students have the unique opportunities to select a concentration in either cybersecurity, IT support, or AWS cloud computing. The VDOE received the the MG Tech Academy application on July 12, 2023. In their intervening 8 months, the agency has collaborated with the applicant as follows. During the week of August 14, 2023, the subject matter expert team provided detailed feedback in each compliance-related section of the application. The goal of the application review technical expert committee is to document the needed technical expertise and provide counseling to the applicants to identify and correct any potential deficiencies in the planning and implementation of the proposed laboratory school, determine compliance with state law and regulation, highlight potential problems or red flags with information contained in the application, and to identify aspects of the proposal that are especially exciting or unique. The subject matter expert team includes myself, Mr. Rob Gilstrap from the Office of Licensure and School Leadership, Mr. Jason Ellis from the Office of Accountability, Ms. Rebecca Askew from the Office of Policy, Mr. Ed Lanza from the Office of Budgeting and Finance, Ms. Melissa Velasquez from the Department of Policy and Communications, Dr. Samantha Hollins from the Department of Special Education and Student Services, and Dr. Dave Myers from the Office of Data Research and Technology. Each subject matter expert was provided with the laboratory school criteria checklist worksheet. Areas of expertise are assigned to various staff subject to their expertise at the VDOE, and a compilation of those comments is included in the spreadsheet and is attached in the agenda entitled the VDOE Completeness and Compliance Report. The Completeness and Compliance Report corresponds to the application and reflects the following dimensions of compliance: executive summary, mission and vision, educational program, governance, management structure, financial and operations, placement plan, and other assurances. The applicant, Mountain Gateway Community College, was responsive to subject matter experts' feedback and questions and provided edits to their application and addendums as required to meet compliance. Items of required attention by the applicant included additional details related to SOL and MG Tech curriculum alignment, teacher and leadership employment policies, provision of extracurricular activities to MG Tech students, additional clarification related to food service provisions, and a complete startup table. A revised application was submitted to the VDOE on September 10th, 2023, and a subsequent technical assistance call was held on September 18th, 2023. On October 19th, 2023, an on-site technical assistance visit was held on the MGCC campus, and a further revised application was received on November 27th, 2023. The VDOE SME review team provided additional feedback on that application revision during the week of December 6th, and MGCC was provided with the results of the review team feedback on December 13th. They provided a revised application again to the VDOE for first standing committee review consideration on December 20th, 2023. On January 8th, the MG Tech team presented for first review to the standing committee, responded to questions of the committee, and was approved by the standing committee on January 8th to proceed to today's second standing committee review. The MG Tech Academy application was posted for public comment following the January 8th standing committee meeting on January 18th and remained available for public comment until February 1st. The following comment was received. Quote, "The addition of the Mountain Gateway Lab School will greatly benefit our region by giving students an opportunity to gain the skills and certification for employment in an educational model that fits their individual needs. The skills and certifications the students earn will allow them to stay in the region with a high earning career." In preparation for today's second standing committee review, the MG Tech team provided additional edits to their application in response to feedback received during first standing committee review. It is also noted that MG Tech, unlike other lab school applicants that we have considered up until this point, is employing dedicated higher ed faculty to teach MG Tech dual enrollment coursework. While this is common and acceptable throughout dual enrollment programs across the Commonwealth, the lab school statute is more specific in its requirement that a lab school teacher be employed by the higher ed institution and hold a valid K-12 Virginia teacher license. Administrative code and its definitions of Virginia teacher licenses does include a dual enrollment or CTE license that would appear to satisfy the statutory requirement on behalf of MG Tech and any lab school with a similar model. We anticipate being able to work with Mountain Gateway prior to BOE approval or consideration to resolve this with more formalized notice. On behalf of the VDOE, I submit that the Mountain Gateway Community College MG Tech Lab School is compliant and ready to implement, and I recommend to the committee that the MG Tech Lab School be approved on second review to be forwarded to the Virginia Board of Education for their consideration for approval at their March 28, 2024 meeting.
Dr. Armstrong, thank you for that summary and certainly for the committee's rigorous and thorough review of this application. At this time, are there any questions for Dr. Armstrong regarding the staff report?
Dr. Armstrong, I just have one question. With the impending implementation of the data science standards, was that something that y'all looked at as you were looking at this particular proposal, which is an information technology proposal?
Yes, ma'am. I know that Mr. Ellis, who is a subject matter expert who has joined our team in the accountability space, does look at that in their alignment with our standards, and I know that was a consideration in his review.
Great question. Any other questions for Dr. Armstrong? All right. Is there a motion to approve Mountain Gateway Community College application on second review and to refer the application to the Virginia State Board of Education for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye as well. Mr. Hanson votes aye. The motion, any opposed, please signify by saying nay. Let the record note there is no opposition. The motion unanimously passes. Congratulations, Mountain Gateway. Your application will be forwarded to the State Board of Education. On behalf of the committee, I direct the staff to finalize a report with VDOEs and the standing committee's deliberation, and to compile that report along with the application and all material received by the standing committee, and to refer Mountain Gateway Community College application to the Board of Education for consideration at next public meeting. All right, that concludes consideration of item A. We'll now move to item B, which is second and final review of the college partnership lab school application from the University of Virginia. The committee will hear from Dr. Wilkins, Education Outreach Director from UVA. And she will be joined by her team from UVA. She's coaxing them up here to the front. I've asked Dr. Wilkins, she has a prepared statement that she will read on behalf of the university. Please feel free to join us up here. And following her statement, the members of her team are invited to please state your name, your role with the lab school or with the institution. Is that good?
Sounds great.
Okay. And Claire, and for IT, would you prefer that Dr. Wilkins stand at the podium so that she can be heard, or is this adequate where she stands? Let's go to the podium
I'll
just
go
to make
to the
sure
Yeah.
everyone can hear what you have to say.
Sounds good.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
So Madam Chair and members of the committee, on behalf of University of Virginia and the Charlottesville City Lab Schools planning committee members, including those here today, we want to thank you for the opportunity to present and share our UVA Innovation Hub at Charlottesville Middle School Lab School application. We also want to recognize the important role that Dr. Armstrong played in helping us bring our vision to you. In the latest revisions to our application, we addressed feedback from you and the subject matter experts. For instance, we added more details to the staffing plan, incorporated additional human resource policies, and added an evaluation framework. We stand ready and excited to bring the mission of the UVA Innovation Hub to engage all students in personally meaningful, computationally rich, and interdisciplinary learning experiences to life at Charlottesville Middle School. Thank you.
Dr. Wilkins, thank you again. And thank you again to UVA for hosting us. At this time, I'd like to allow each of your members to address the committee as well.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So first, we're really honored to have the committee here with us today. Honored to host you all, and really grateful for the feedback. It's been a wonderful partnership and really improving the application. Just want to acknowledge our Charlottesville City Schools partners. So I'm a new-ish maybe dean. This is the end of my second year. And this idea really emanated out of my very first meeting with Dr. Royal Gurley, the superintendent there. And so it's been really wonderful over the course of the entire time that I've been here to bring this to fruition. So really grateful to them. And of course, our team here who's done just so much work to get us to this point in developing curriculum and the partnerships with the schools and teachers, et cetera. So I'm really glad to be here and again, grateful for your help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Coffey from Charlottesville City Schools. I'm the coordinator of science and innovation. I guess gosh, it goes all the way back till September 2022, my very first month at Charlottesville City Schools. I get an email from Dr. Chu and Dr. Wilkins, and there is the journey. So a year and a half almost later, we have this amazing innovation hub that is coming to fruition. And I'm so excited for the students here and for the community and just everyone in general. It's been amazing teamwork, and we have something truly astonishing to show for it.
Hello, I'm Jenny Chu. I'm an associate professor of STEM education here at at UVA. And I'll keep my comments brief. I just want to say thank you to the standing committee and to Dr. Armstrong for all of their support to get us to this point. And again, just echoing the strong partnership with Charlottesville City Schools that has enabled us to get to this point. I'm very excited for this work to continue.
Thank you all. At this time, are there any further questions from members of the standing committee on UVA's application?
No, I just want to make an observation. I mean, this shows, this application is different in some ways qualitatively than some of the others in terms of the thrust of the school, the approach, the pedagogy, and that's a good thing. I mean, this whole idea is about creating options for families, for students to sort of to have more agency over choosing their own adventure as they move through in an environment of quality and publicness. And so I think that's like a really good thing. And I want to call that out relative to, you know, we have a number of schools in the pipeline with different approaches. The school, we heard from Mountain Gateway School earlier this morning has a different approach. And I just want to call attention that that's a positive thing and will lead to both more options for families, and it will lead to some learning here in the Commonwealth.
Any other further comments or questions?
I would just weigh in by saying that living in the community and watching the recent work that's occurred in Charlottesville City to reimagine the way that middle school is going to unfold, that this is such a wonderful signature program that I think is going to really give life to a very different way of thinking about how do we educate middle school's children well so that they can go to high school, have a great level of success, graduate, pursue all kinds of pathways. And I believe that whether a student in this program intends to pursue when they graduate from high school a STEM career or not, that they will be better citizens, better community members, and better learners in whatever endeavor that they take on, because there's really very few careers in this day and age that do not have STEM embedded, whether it's humanities, the arts, or the sciences. So hats off to y'all for conceptualizing this, and I can't wait to maybe get a chance to come visit.
Any other takers? Okay, I do want to just weigh in on one more item, and that is to say, at the first meeting, we had the opportunity to hear from the application. You could visually see the partnership and collaboration, the number of individuals that spoke at our first review of this application, your community partners, members of a local school division, the intentional ecosystem that you have built for students and children is incredible. And just to see that, it was so powerful. So I want to thank you for really knitting together so many local assets that could otherwise be unconnected or not fully utilized, but really leveraging all those assets and bringing them to bear on this conversation for students' benefit. So thank you for doing that. Okay, Dr. Armstrong, do you have a staff reporter on this item as well? All right. Dr. Armstrong will walk us through the process that the video we went through on this application as well.
And Madam Chair, with your permission, I will abridge this report slightly since I've included a lot of the language about the subject matter expert team and how that works. And I would like to also note before I begin these comments, another dimension of our work with the standing committee with the applicants is the effect it's going to have on teachers. And I know that this will be not just the UVA Innovation Hub, NG Tech, our lab schools are going to make a better experience for our teachers as well. So thank you all, and Dean Rowley, especially for being here on behalf of the School of Education. Members of the committee and Ms. Wodiska, I'm pleased to provide you with this overview of the now reviewed University of Virginia Innovation Hub at Charlottesville Middle School Lab School proposal, a partnership between the University of Virginia and Charlottesville City Public Schools. The goals of the UVA Innovation Hub at CMS, which include developing a community of practice around education that incorporates interdisciplinary project-based computationally rich learning experiences, engaging students by incorporating their voices and choices throughout the learning process, and making meaningful community connections to engage students, teachers, and families in real-world problem-solving, mentorship, and career explorations are responsive to the local needs as determined by the unique community problems of practice model implemented by the Innovation Hub. Additionally, as noted in the UVA Innovation Hub application, by transforming school experiences in a way that elevates the developmental needs of young adolescents through student-driven, community and design-based projects, the Lab School aims to elevate the voice and agency of middle school students in ways that align with research-based practices for positive youth development and asset-based pedagogy. This approach addresses current high-priority needs at CMS, which include increasing student engagement in school and in science, professional development that helps teachers connect different content areas in a way that is relevant to and builds on the assets of their students, and increasing student performance on state assessments. Students enrolled in the Innovation Hub, which will be housed primarily at Charlottesville Middle School, and includes all middle school students eventually at CMS and in Charlottesville City Schools, will participate in the unique offerings of the Innovation Hub. The Lab School acts as a dynamic center for experiential learning, where sixth grade students begin their middle school journey with a focus on exploring diverse interests and developing essential technical and real-world problem-solving skills. As students progress to seventh grade, they undertake 2 comprehensive interdisciplinary projects designed to provide practical experience and exposure to various industries, enhancing their understanding of real-world application of their studies. The culmination of this integrated Lab School experience is seen in the 8th grade, where students develop capstone projects. These projects represent a synthesis of their learning journey and prepare them for future academic and professional challenges. The VDOE received the UVA Innovation Hub application on November 8, 2023, and in the intervening months, the agency has collaborated with the applicant as follows. During the week of November 8, 2023, the subject matter expert team provided detailed feedback in each compliance-related section of the application. The applicant was responsive to subject matter experts' feedback and questions and provided edits to their application and addendums as required to meet compliance. The applicant responded with their edited application and addendum on December 21st, 2023, which was subsequently reviewed by the subject matter experts on December 27th, 2023. Once it was established that the applicant had provided satisfactory responses to the VDOE, the UVA Innovation Hub application was placed on the agenda for first standing committee review on February 5th, 2024. The UVA Innovation Hub team presented to the standing committee on February 5th, responded to questions of the committee, and was approved by the standing committee on February 5th to proceed to today's second standing committee review. The UVA Innovation Hub application was posted for public comment following the February 5th standing committee meeting on February 15th and remained available until March 1st, and the following comment was received. Quote, a laboratory school for our city's middle schoolers would be an incredible opportunity for our children and community, exclamation point. My son, current 3rd grader, would be so thrilled and excited to attend a school devoted to his passion. Please make this a reality in Charlottesville. In preparation for today's second standing committee review, the UVA Innovation Hub team provided additional edits, which you've heard about today, to their application in response to feedback received during first standing committee review. Items of required attention by the applicant included clarification of any alternative assessments other than SOLs to be used to measure progress under the educational program, and clarification of time periods associated with staffing, evaluation of staff, HR policy, and partnerships under their management structure. On behalf of the VDOE, I submit that the UVA Innovation Hub at Charlottesville Middle School Lab School is compliant and ready to implement, and I recommend to the committee that the Innovation Hub be approved on second review to be forwarded to the Virginia Board of Education for their consideration for approval at the March 28, 2024 meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. Are there any questions at this time for staff? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the University of Virginia's application on second review and refer the application to the Virginia State Board of Education for approval?
So moved.
And is there a second
Second.
from Mr. Hanson? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hanson. All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Any opposed, state nay. The motion unanimously passes. On behalf of the committee, I direct the staff to finalize a report with the standing committee and VDOE's deliberation and to compile that report along with the application and all additional material received by the standing committee and to refer to the State Board of Education for consideration at the next public meeting. Congratulations. We will now move to item C, which is first review of college partnership laboratory school application from Emory and Henry College. The committee will hear from Mr. Danny Lee. I'm going to get this one right. My apologies. Mr. Danny Lee and Dr. Lou Fincher from Emory and Henry College, followed by Dr. Armstrong. And we will afford Emory and Henry, just like UVA and Mountain Gateway and our past applicants, an opportunity to also introduce the entire team that you have here today. What we typically do is we have our formal presentation first. After your formal presentation, prior to questions from the committee, we'll allow you to, or encourage you to have all your other interested partners come up to the microphone, state their name, their role in the College Lab application, and any additional comments that they want to share. Then we'll take Q&A. Okay.
Thank you very much. And Danny's fine. It's spelled Dante, but the only person that called me Dante was my father. So I knew I was in trouble when you said Dante. But that's okay. Thank you. Madam Chair, again, thank you. Lab School Standing Committee review members, thank you for this opportunity to present today. We have a very innovative approach to a lab school that we are developing. I'd like to take this time to really thank Dr. Armstrong for all of his efforts in working with us. He has truly been at our beck and call about any time we have contacted him. So I don't know what you're paying, but we need an increase in pay because he's done an exceptional job with us, and I'm sure he has with all other applicants as well. The most unique thing about our partnership is we are the Southwest Virginia Healthcare Excellence Academy Lab School. We have 9 partnering institutions that covers an area of about 90 miles. And our partners include Smith County Public Schools. We have Wythe County Public Schools. We have Washington County Public Schools, Bristol, Virginia Public Schools, and our post-secondary institutions include Emory and Henry College, Virginia Highlands Community College, and Woodville Community College. 2 additional partners that we have is the A. Linwood Hogan Governor School and Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. So when you discuss developing a program like this and you have 9 partners that covers over 85 miles, you track a lot of miles, a lot of meetings, and you have a lot of opportunities to collaborate with some really exciting people that know a lot about education. So with this, I'll turn it over to Dr. Fincher. She is our Senior Vice President of Emory Henry College. She is the Dean of the Health Science Campus, and she is the mastermind behind our plan. So.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. I want to echo Mr. Lee's comments in terms of thanking the planning committee. We are honored to be here on your agenda and excited to share with you our lab school program. Okay. Okay.
There you go. Take it back one.
Okay. Well, and I certainly want to echo also Mr. Lee's comments that it has been a phenomenal partnership with our collaborating partners. It's just, collaboration doesn't truly capture the meaning of what we've come together and been able to do. I would correct Mr. Lee to say I'm not the mastermind of this program, but it has been a collaborative effort. And actually, Superintendent Dennis Carter from Smith County Schools was the brainchild who came to us and said, do you want to partner on doing this? And it just exploded and grew from there. So, and you'll have a chance to hear from Dennis Carter, Dr. Carter a little bit later. So I have the pleasure of being able to give you the overview of our program. And so we're very mission centric, very mission driven, and highlighted words that truly capture our program and our intention in terms of, again, working very collaboratively. We have built and will be deploying a very rigorous, high quality learning environment for students who are truly interested in pursuing healthcare careers. We are committed to preparing them to be college ready and career ready in the healthcare fields, and hope to see them move into healthcare careers and hopefully be in our region doing so. And so our vision is very straightforward. We want to establish an academic pipeline for preparing future healthcare professionals who really can meet the health workforce needs in our region. And we're very proud of the fact that this whole program came out of recognizing a need, a real shortage for healthcare providers in Southwest Virginia. And we feel like that this pipeline project allows us to grow our own and to be able to meet that need in terms of putting out future healthcare professionals that will be serving patients in the future in our region. So our overall goal is to increase the number of high school graduates that come out of our Southwest Virginia high schools, who particularly will become healthcare providers and practicing in Southwest Virginia. And we feel like we can meet this goal by developing a sustainable pipeline. We use pipeline a lot to be able to talk about growing our own pipeline to prepare healthcare professionals to meet, again, the workforce shortages in our area. And again, to prepare college and career-ready students to pursue the college degrees that would put them onto the pathway of their desired healthcare profession, whether that is an associate's degree entry into their career, a bachelor's degree entry, or does it require a graduate degree entry? And so we want to be able to provide exploration for them to help them identify that pathway. Our org chart shows the role of our governing board, which I'll show a list of in just a moment. We're very pleased with our advisory council that we have seated, and I know we have several members of our advisory council. I saw them coming on to the screen and joining the Zoom meeting. We're very happy to have our executive director and assistant director already on board, and they have been since summer and then fall, Mr. Lee and Mr. Davidson. We will be hiring a clinical placement coordinator, classroom facilitators. We're already working with a web media manager who developed our online portal application system. And we've also given dedicated time of one of our Emory and Henry administrative staff to provide administrative support. And so again, Mr. Lee, our executive director, Mike Davidson, our assistant director, and Karen Alley is the administrative assistant out of my office. And again, we will be with approval of funding moving forward to hire a clinical placement coordinator, which will be essential because of the experiential opportunities in getting our students into shadowing and into internship opportunities. And so our governing board, our bylaws state that every one of our 9 partners will have a representative on our governing board, typically the leader from that institution or organization. And Emory and Henry, as the fiscal agent for the planning grant, has 2 representatives on our governing board. I serve as chair, and then Dr. Carter serves as vice chair, and our bylaws state that the vice chair will always be one of our P12 superintendent partners. We've already met twice. This is a very engaged board and has been from day one. And so again, it just adds to the collaboration of our team. Our advisory council, we intentionally selected the members of our advisory council to meet multiple action items for us. Either one, to be able to help us see gaps in our programming. Are there areas that we've not thought about, pathways we've not thought about? Is there curriculum that we've not thought about, so we can constantly be looking at continuous improvement? We have a number of stakeholders from healthcare, from education, from our hospital partners, healthcare partners, other organizations, for example, the United Way, the Strong Accountable Care community. And in fact, if they're still on, I saw that Mark Cruz from the Strong Accountable Care community had signed on to Zoom, and Sean McMurray, who is the executive director for Wellspring Foundation of Southwest Virginia, had signed on. And so our advisory council, and we've met once with this group. As I said, there were multiple action items that we hoped that this group could help us with. 1, identifying the gaps. 2, being able to help connect us with experiential opportunities, getting our students into the hospitals, the clinics, and other healthcare settings. And if the members of the advisory council didn't themselves have a direct access to that, for them to connect us with others that could do that. And then the third was to connect us with potential funding sources for future funding and for sustainability. And Mr. Davidson will speak to sustainability at the end of our presentation. But so this in and of itself as a group, when I looked around the room when we met the first time, it was really a wow factor to see the number of people that we had at the table and the institutions and organizations they represented and their genuine interest in seeing the HEALS program be successful. So our target student population, and given the guidelines, we would say our program is open to any student in the Commonwealth. However, our targeted population that we will actively recruit are 10th through 12th graders from our partnering institutions, our four school divisions of the I-81 corridor. Seeking students who are particularly interested in a healthcare career. And one qualifier being that the applicants must meet their high school's requirements to take dual enrollment courses because our full curriculum involves dual enrollment courses. For our admission process, we have an online application. Students apply through that online application. We have an admissions committee that review those just to make sure that they have been endorsed by their administration and that they meet the dual enrollment requirement. And then beyond that, we have capacity for 50 students out of each cohort. If we have applications that exceed 50, then we will go into a lottery system to select students for admission. Students that are admitted, they and their parents will attend an orientation session because the parents need to be as engaged and involved in understanding what the students are going to be experiencing throughout their 3 years in the program. And then our assistant director and director would be meeting regularly with the counselors and the students to build out their course schedule for their 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year. And so it becomes very much engaging and one-on-one interaction with our directors in terms of once they're admitted into the program. The academic program, again, is very intended to be very rigorous and includes dual enrollment or concurrent courses. And the coursework is specifically geared towards either a specific healthcare pathway, which we'll look at in a moment, but also the foundational science courses that are required for all healthcare professions, giving them those at the dual enrollment level, building that skill set and that knowledge base before they move into their college degree, whether it be associate's degree, bachelor's degree, or graduate degree. And so we have the foundational sciences, we have introductory healthcare content, including introductory healthcare skills. We have ability to provide healthcare career exploration through career forums, through the shadowing opportunities, and then experiential healthcare career-based opportunities, again, through the shadowing and through the internship opportunities. So the pathways that I mentioned, right now we started with 6. These could grow, these could shrink based upon what we see in terms of interest of our students and also the ongoing needs in our community for healthcare professionals. We split allied health into 2 categories because they are so broad. Allied health diagnostic, which tends to be more of the technology level, radiology tech, ultrasound tech. Allied health physical rehabilitation, which includes the physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech path, athletic trainer, that type of profession. Medicine, which includes not only the physicians, but also the physician assistant and the dental. We have several students who are actually interested in either dentistry or orthodontistry. Mental behavioral health. We know that there is a dire need for mental health care professionals in our region, actually across the country. And so that pathway is very important to the program and would lead to a number of the types of careers in mental health, whether it be social work, mental health counseling, substance abuse counseling, that type of thing. Nursing, we want to be able to show students the broad range of career paths within nursing, everything from the entry point of RN up through the BS trained nurse, all the way up through the advanced practice nurse in terms of nurse practitioner. And so we want to be able to show the pathways of what students could be able to possibly achieve. And then pharmacy, we actually have a student or two that is interested in the pharmacy pathway. which includes pharmacy and pharmacy tech. And so our program, the 10th grade year, the idea is that all students would take the same coursework. And it's a cohort-based program. And so the 10th grade gives the foundation for them to begin to then explore what specific pathway they might want to move on to. And so those introductory courses of orientation to health-related professions, ethics for healthcare personnel, and medical terminology, those three are the key foundational 10th grade courses. And then other courses that might be added in, developmental psychology is a prereq for almost every healthcare profession. Chemistry, which could replace their high school chemistry, would be a foundational course that would be required for almost all health profession programs. As they move into their junior year, through their exploration, they will start to look at what specific pathway or pathways do they want to be studying through. Almost all of them require anatomy and physiology. And again, these are dual credit courses. We are having created a Spanish for healthcare professionals, which is a key course, I think, for our students to really be able to have healthcare specific language skills in Spanish language. And then the other courses can be from electives, everything from the maths that they would need going into a healthcare degree to psychology or other healthcare electives based upon the pathway. And then their senior year, which they really should be very focused in on, not only do they know which career path they want to be on, but they know where they are looking at going to school. And so again, getting more of the foundational sciences that will position them to be successful in their healthcare career degree, and then adding in other advanced topics as well. And so all three of the years, 10th, 11th, and 12th, also include the experiential learning component. And again, those are dual enrollment as well. And so the 10th grade year would be an introductory topics for healthcare. We will be taking the students out into hospital settings so they can be able to explore a variety of roles within the hospital setting. 11th grade year, topics in healthcare, they begin to narrow in their focus. And then 12th grade with an internship, they begin to really be in the field that they're looking at pursuing. We have two main instructional sites, our Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center on our southern end, and then our Emory and Henry Health Science Campus on our northern end. Our 4 school divisions, we've divided into cohorts. So the Bristol, Virginia cohort and Washington County cohort, most of the time would be transported into the higher ed center because that's the close proximity for them. Whereas the Smith and Wythe County cohorts, which are further north, would be transported into our Health Science Campus in Marion. There will be opportunities for the students to cross-populate across the 2 campuses because there are healthcare programs and graduate students and undergraduate healthcare students on both campuses that are of different disciplines that allow the students to be able to have that connection with those peers and some mentorship from those peers. Our partners in the public school divisions, through their collaboration and in-kind funding, will provide the transportation for the students to be able to go to the sites. The typical academic schedule, ours is a half-day program. We want our students to still be able to compete, to participate in their athletics, band, fine arts, other activities they have on campus. And so our schedule will be in the morning. They will be transported to one of those 2 campuses, and then they will travel back to their home school for the afternoon. Student support services also provided collaboratively. So it's in the way of career counseling and mentoring services. Not only do we have the high school counselors, we have our directors that work very closely with the students. And then we want to bring in those healthcare graduate and undergraduate students to specifically be able to speak about the day in the life of a healthcare student in college and what their career aspirations are. Student disabilities, they will be identified at the public school level. Of course, the higher ed partners will assist in providing those accommodations. Transportation provided by our public school divisions. And in the most recent meeting of our partners, talking about some of the internship opportunities, there may be the need for the HEALS program to provide some transportation to some of the internship sites, particularly when we start to have individualized internship assignments. And so from an enrollment standpoint, again, I mentioned earlier, we have capacity for 50 students in a cohort. A lot of that capacity is designed because we want to make sure we have those experiential opportunities, the shadowing and the internship opportunities. If we find that we are blessed to have plentiful sites for students to go to, we would want to increase that student enrollment capacity. And so in year one of 24-25 academic year, we would have 100 students enrolled, 50 sophomores and 50 juniors. And then we will grow in year two to be at 150. And then we would be graduating, if you look at, we would graduate our first cohort at the end of the 25-26 academic year, and then cohorts of 50 thereafter. And from the budget standpoint, I know this is in the application, but just to hide the 30,000 foot view, the one-time startup funding, the capital funding really is designed, one, to provide purchase and install video conferencing equipment that will actually allow our two campuses to connect. And that way, if we do have a speaker or an instructor on one campus and we really want both campuses to be able to hear that, they can be able to connect in that way. Also adding equipment, multitask trainers to be able to teach clinical skills, and equipment in our simulation labs on both campuses, which also provide those experiential learning opportunities. Personnel expenses that are outlined in the application, the dual enrollment and concurrent expenses with our community college partners, our general operating expenses, administrative fee we built in just because of the administrative duties that go along with being the fiscal agent on Emory and Henry Park. And our little boxes covering it up, but with startup and operational expenses, we had originally proposed for 6.7 million. This just breaks it down over the 5-year period to be able to see the accumulation and growth in the budget. And then what we wanted to really point out here is, if you look at the VDOE guidelines for per pupil funding rate, which is 9,578, we actually, in looking at our projected budget and our projected enrollment, we're actually below that in the first year, 9,501, but then decreasing from there, that we would be operating at less than what the VDOE guideline per pupil funding cost is allocated. And so with that, I want to turn it over to Mike Davidson to speak in regards to our sustainability.
I am Mike Davidson. I'm the Assistant Director of the HEALS program, and obviously as the Assistant Director, low minimum totem pole, sustainability falls in my lap. So as we know, it's probably the most challenging aspect of the program. And right now, when I speak of sustainability, the first thing I have to really mention is what's already been promised and given to us in in-kind donations. The two facilities that will be using as campuses, they've already provided us with office space and classroom space that will be available. When you add in the support services to go along with that, we have over $200,000 worth of donations of in-kind just in that area. Then when we throw in our lab spaces, the simulation labs, the lab spaces, the study spaces, the other spaces that our students will be able to access, we can't even put a dollar amount on what all that will be, including the equipment that our students will be using. So there's a tremendous amount of sustainability that's provided in in-kind donations. And then when we look at our public school partners, they have pledged transportation and all kinds of other things that they're willing to do to make this a sustainable program. When we look at our partnership, the thing that has been mentioned before is the number of partners that we have, and all of those partners have said, we're going to make this work. And when we go to our governing board, we've got the leaderships of all the educational partners. Then we look at the advisory council. That council is made up of leaders in the healthcare field where there's pledging support, whether it's going to be facilities or it's going to be people to help our students learn from. But then we also have philanthropy groups that are there, whether it's a direct connection or an indirect connection to those groups that are going to, or that have said that they will support our program. As far as sustainability, we do not have a direct amount that we can put down on paper and say, this is what people are going to do. We feel that we need to get our program up and running. Once we are up and running and we have that success of our students, we know that that support is going to continue to grow. But we've already had conversations with groups such as the Claude Moore Foundation. We've had conversations with Wellsprings Foundation. We have had Ballot Health is certainly been involved in our conversations. They are actually starting the Ballot Academy in East Tennessee, which is going to be similar to what we're doing. They're a little behind us. They're starting later, but their program and our program, we've already had conversations there. The Gatton Foundation, we have connections. We have the Smith Educational Foundation, the With Plan Foundation. So we have a number of places where we've had conversations. We had no plans to wait until year 4 or 5 and say, wait a minute, we have to have help. We're starting out early. But as far as anything we put down on paper, we have not developed an ask yet. We don't feel that it's appropriate to develop an ask until we officially are a lab school. But we do feel confident that we have partners that are willing to step up and help us. And this is the point where we want to have our partners that are here. You want everyone to come up? Is that what you'd like?
They made the journey, absolutely.
So if they will come up, first we'd like to thank you for hearing our presentation, but if our partners, we have.
So for each of your partners that are here, if they can state their name, their role in the area, and a contribution that they have specific to the lab application. And if they have any remarks that they'd like to share with the standing committee, we would love to hear those as well, just as we heard from our gracious host from UVA.
I'll start. I'm Mike Robbins.
I'm going to have you come to the
All right.
microphone though, because I do want to ensure, come on down, gentlemen. I do want to ensure that it's audible for the rest of the folks listening remotely, and we have it on the record. Thank you.
And I'm Mike Robinson. I'm with the A. Holden Governor School. And as a partner in this project, our school, in particular, our Human Anatomy and Physiology class, was a destination for a lot of students that were interested in the medical field. We could not expand to do all of these type of things in our current environment. So when Dennis approached me with the idea of doing this, I'm like, I'm 100% on board because this is where we want to be, the space. We know that there's interest in that program and in that field in our area, and a huge need. And so we're very excited to be delivering some of the content for them and with them in this program.
All right, it's a little tight space in the front here.
Well, good morning. My name is David Matlock. I'm the agency head and executive director of the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. And on behalf of my board chairman, Senator Todd Pillion, and my board and my college partners, we were very excited to be a part of this process. At the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center, we have 11 colleges and universities provide content and programs of study in our building, many of which fit like a glove with this program. When we were approached by Emory and Henry and we started planning this, VCU, we have a doctoral program in nurse anesthesia, and the VCU baccalaureate degree. These are residential programs in clinical lab science. We also have a doctoral program in pharmacy with the Appalachian College of Pharmacy, nurse practitioner program, and RN and BSN program with King Universities, as well as Radford University when it comes to the counseling and substance abuse. So our partners got very excited, and they all want to know, what can we do to make this happen? Because we see ourselves at the Southwest Virginia Education Center as an important piece of this pathway. So we've already pledged $100,000 initially in in-kind support, and we stand ready. On behalf of my board, I can state boldly today, we stand ready to do whatever's necessary to help these students enter this program and provide pathway opportunities. So we're excited and we're thankful for the opportunity we have to come here today.
Yeah. Greetings.
Greetings. My name is Dennis Carter. I'm superintendent of Smith County. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Need drives innovation, and this is certainly a need in Southwest Virginia, across the Commonwealth, for medical providers. And one of the things that drives us most is having our students grow and stay in our community. And we see this as economic development opportunity, but more importantly, we see this as making our community stronger. We have lots of our students who have the opportunity for growth, but may not see the potential within themselves. So having this experiential learning opens up doors for those students and certainly meets a need for our community with the behavioral health and the medical side. In our area, behavioral health is a major problem, and that drives a lot of our synergy and energy in meeting this goal. And we can have a youngster in crisis that we can get pretty much immediate help for. But if we have a youngster that may be on the verge of crisis, it may be 2 to 3 weeks out before they can see a provider. So we do have a dream to have integrated healthcare within Southwest Virginia, where a youngster could have medical service, and if they see some type of behavioral health concern, have a soft handoff to a mental health provider within the same facility. But to be able to do that, it requires staffing, and we just do not have the staffing. So again, need drives innovation, and the synergy and the collaboration with all the partners that we have is just, it's amazing. It's truly heartwarming and something to be proud of in Southwest Virginia. And again, thank you for the opportunity for us to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Morning, I'm David Scott, Superintendent of Bristol, Virginia Public Schools. Thank you to the Standing Committee and thank you to everybody from VDOE and Emory and Henry. It's been an honor to help with this project and to be a collaborator with such outstanding thinkers as we think about how to serve our community. For me, I'm a firm believer in educational outcomes shouldn't be based on your zip code. And so when we have people in far Southwest Virginia to be able to expand the area from which they can work with experts and increase that experiential learning opportunities. I think that's a no-brainer for us in Bristol. Make sure that we're engaging our students early in this process and to give them opportunities that they, it might not be completely obvious to them that those opportunities are out there. So it's been a pleasure to work with these gentlemen and women from that standpoint. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we also have 2 of our academic partners on Zoom.
Excellent. Let's see, where's our IT support?
I think,
Can we get the screen up for our 2 guests? So for our 2 additional Zoom guests from Emory and Henry.
So we have 2 of our board of members of our governing board and then 3 of our advisory council.
Okay. We're gonna see if we can get everyone up on screen, and if not, I'm gonna come back to you once IT rejoins us in the room. So if we can't do it now, no pressure. For those of you listening in that are part of this application and team, we will find a way to make sure you get an opportunity to visually share and be part of the conversation.
And I think if they just start speaking, they'll be.
Okay.
So Adam, you want to introduce yourself?
Can you go to a different screen to do, yeah. Do the one that looks like 9 dots. Yeah, there we go. Well, hello. Excellent.
So Adam, you want to go first?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Adam Hutchison. I'm the president at Virginia Highlands Community College. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you this morning, but I appreciate the travel plans that my colleagues have made, especially our school superintendents who have so much on their plates. I'm grateful for the partnership with Emory and Henry for more than 50 years. Virginia Highlands has kind of sat on the far southwest edge of the service area there. We serve Washington County and the western portion of Smith County and the city of Bristol. And we share the excitement for this opportunity to serve these students in a unique way as a lab school. The Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center is immediately adjacent to Virginia Highlands Community College. And so I like to consider us as one large campus that serves our region. And we fully support the project as is presented to you today. We look forward to providing dual enrollment and considerable pathways for these students to engage at the community college level, finishing certificates and degrees on their way to great careers here in Southwest Virginia in all sectors of the healthcare occupations, both mental health and, as was described, the diagnostic and the rehabilitative supports for allied health. Thank you.
Dr. Poole?
Mr. Poole, we're unable to hear you. We can see you. I feel like I'm on a Zoom, right? That happens how many times a day? We're gonna make sure we can hear you. We're gonna come back to you, Mr. Poole, in just a moment. Dr. Fincher, who would you like to go to next?
So we have members from our advisory council. So Sean McMurray on the bottom left square.
Mr. Poole, we're gonna give you some time to sort out the microphone or your sound. We'll come back to you though, sir.
Hello, I'm Sean McMurray. I'm the Executive Director at the Wellspring Foundation of Southwest Virginia. And our mission is to enhance the health and well-being of the people who live in 4 Virginia counties in our area, including the counties covered by this particular initiative. And we're just happy to be at the table and feel like some great things are ahead. One of the areas of interest that we have is healthcare workforce development, and we think this lines up well with our interest. So we're pleased to support this effort.
Thank you.
Patricia Van Hoy.
Hello, I'm Tricia Van Hoy. I'm the Senior Nurse Manager for the Mount Rogers Health District. We are very excited about this project. We cover 8 localities across far Southwest Virginia, and including the service areas that were mentioned in this project. I think this is really a very unique and special initiative. I know we struggle with getting our healthcare providers finding applicants in the last few years. It's been much more of a struggle for us. So we are just very excited to be a part of this. And, we look forward to seeing what this will do, and we do support it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Mark Cruz.
Good morning, I'm Mark Cruz. I'm the director of the Strong Accountable Care Community. Strong stands for Striving Towards Resilience and Opportunity for the Next Generation. We're a bi-state coalition of 400 organizations in Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee working together to improve physical, social, and economic health. We do this through focusing on early childhood development, youth success, and workforce development, leading to economic mobility by age 25. And so we're super excited about the Healthcare Excellence Academy Lab School and the potential it has to address some of the substantial healthcare professional shortages in the region, in particular the 4.
So Mr. Cruz, you've frozen on our screen. We'll see if he comes back, and if he does, we'll certainly allow him a chance to complete his remarks. And Mr. Poole, are we having any better luck with you for audio? Oh, not quite yet. Sir, would you, we can provide you with a staff phone number, and we can maybe get you to call in that way. Are we allowed to do that? I just want to make sure that he has an opportunity since he's.
You could also place his comment in the chat.
Oh, Mr. Poole, would you like to place your remarks otherwise into the chat? I know that that's really not the same. I want to acknowledge that, and like
Can you hear me?
150 characters. Oh, there we go. Excellent.
Is
You've
that
solved all my dilemmas for me. Thank you. We were trying to problem solve this one.
All right, so you can hear now, correct? Are you there?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay. Wesley Poole, Superintendent of Wythe County Public Schools. Just want to thank you for this opportunity. We're very excited about having the opportunity to collaborate with all of the wonderful organizations that are represented. As a region, we are very excited about the opportunities that this will provide our students, especially in filling a very large need for us here in Southwest Virginia. So not to be long-winded, just want to agree with all of my peers and say what a wonderful opportunity this is.
Thank you, Mr. Poole, and for your persistence. Thank you for making sure you could share those remarks with us. Thank you very much. And Mr. Cruz, I'm sorry that technology wasn't interrupted your remarks. Would you like to continue, sir?
I'm not sure where I went out. I do apologize for the glitch, but the Strong Accountable Care community is really excited for the HEALS project. We are working hard in our region to address the health professional shortages that exist throughout the region, including in the 4 jurisdictions that are noted in the project. And we think this is a great counterbalance to the Ballard Health Academy project on the Tennessee side of our footprint. We think there's a lot of opportunity for synergy, sharing notes and successes, as well as how to overcome challenges between the 2 projects. So we're really excited and happy to support this effort in any way that we can.
Madam Chair, I saw one more person sign in, although I don't see him on the screen. Dr. Michael Puglisi, is he still with us? So Dr. Puglisi is our Executive Vice President and Provost at Emory and Henry College.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I will just add my endorsement to those of the other partners who have spoken. The need for healthcare professionals in the region is definitely evident. And we believe that this lab school, the HEALS Lab School, provides an avenue for growing our own in the region and keeping them here in the region to fulfill the healthcare needs that we have. Emory and Henry is certainly a dedicated participant in this project along with the other partners. And we feel strongly that this is a project that serves the region.
Thank you. You know, on behalf of the committee, I want to first say that we really do value and appreciate both the time for you to travel today to share your remarks, as well as the individuals who have participated remotely. We really listen and we appreciate that engagement, and it shows. When we meet with applicants, we can, authentic partnership is what we're looking for. Authentic and deep, sustainable partnership. And so I want you to know that we take very seriously and very much appreciate the time that you've invested to be here and to contribute to this conversation. Even if you spoke briefly, know that it carries weight with the committee and it is much appreciated. So thank you. At this time, before I do questions, I'm actually going to go to Dr. Armstrong for him to present a staff report, and then we'll do questions. Some of the questions the committee may have is actually going to need the assistance of Dr. Armstrong. So I want to kind of tee up both of you at the same time, and then we can ask unified questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the Emory and Henry Southwest Virginia HEALS team. Committee members, I'd like to provide a brief overview on behalf of the agency on the Emory and Henry College Southwest Virginia Healthcare Excellence Academy, Southwest Virginia HEALS Lab School application. Southwest Virginia HEALS will provide a comprehensive healthcare-focused career academy, which includes extensive dual enrollment coursework, hands-on learning experiences, and pathways to in-demand, regionally responsive healthcare career credentials. Emory and Henry College and their partners, Virginia Highlands Community College, the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center, A. Linwood Holton Governor's School, and the public school divisions of Smith, Wythe, Washington County, and City of Bristol have presented a quality proposal that represents significant support and cooperation from among higher education and K-12 public education in Southwest Virginia, an area of the Commonwealth that features healthcare and health sciences as a major area of workforce demand. Our review of the Southwest Virginia HEALS application has included multiple rounds of subject matter expert feedback and several calls before and since the submission of the application in December of 2023. The Southwest Virginia HEALS team has been responsive and inquisitive as they have thoughtfully adjusted their plan to meet the compliance requirements and questions that we've had around Virginia lab schools. As you'll see in the attached completeness and compliance report, for the purposes of first standing committee review today, the Emory and Henry Southwest Virginia HEALS application is ready to implement the elements of executive summary, educational program governance, financial and operational information, placement plan, and other assurances and requirements. Under mission and vision, we would like to clarify the pathway to all of the SOQ mandated graduation requirements and ensure that any summer learning, if required, is accessible and includes detailed information on transportation and related operational needs to ensure accessibility to students. Under management structure, we would like to ensure that the Southwest Virginia HEALS proposal meets the statutory requirement that the lab school is, quote, open to any student in the Commonwealth. While Southwest Virginia HEALS has provided additional detail related to administration of the lottery, we want to ensure that any prerequisite or enrollment requirements are not prohibitive to enrollment, that the application reflects that as well. Also under management structure, VDOE, as we mentioned before with another applicant, is currently developing some best practice for all lab schools to meet the statutory requirement that lab school teachers are employed by the higher education partner, but have or are eligible to have a valid K-12 Virginia teacher license. Emory and Henry, unlike other lab school applicants, is employing dedicated higher ed faculty to teach the dual enrollment coursework. And while this is common and acceptable throughout dual enrollment programs all across the Commonwealth, the lab school statute, as referenced before, is more specific in its requirement that a lab school teacher be employed by the higher ed institute and hold a valid K-12 Virginia teacher license. Administrative code and its definitions of Virginia teacher licenses does include a dual enrollment or CT license that would appear to satisfy the statutory requirement on behalf of Emory and Henry and any lab school with a similar model. And we anticipate being able to work with Emory and Henry prior to second review to resolve that with more formalized notice. Finally, under management structure, we would like to refine the language of the student code of conduct. There's a student code of conduct clause 16, which requires that students maintain appropriate boundaries in their relationships with the Emory and Henry students they will encounter. It's imperative to avoid situations that could be misconstrued or deemed inappropriate. We simply wish to ensure that the Southwest Virginia HEALS proposal outlines steps that will be taken to proactively ensure that any interaction with Emory and Henry students or staff are appropriate, and that there is reciprocal accountability for those post-secondary students taking part for maintaining appropriate relationships with students, which will likely be accomplished by referencing your existing codes of conduct. As referenced in the overview document included in your agenda, Emory and Henry, as our first private school higher education partner, qualifies as a private institution of higher education in Virginia and is eligible to participate in the College Partnership Laboratory School program by the definition of College Partnership Laboratory School found in the statute 22.1349.1, which defines this as a public, non-sectarian, non-religious school in the Commonwealth established by a public institution of higher education, public higher education center, institute, or authority, or an eligible institution as defined in 23(1-628), a public higher education institution of higher education, a public higher education center, institute, or authority, or an eligible institution as defined in 23(1-628), which may submit an application for formation of a college partnership laboratory school. And the important part here is that 23(1-628) defines an eligible institution as a nonprofit private institution of higher education whose primary purpose is to provide collegiate, graduate, or professional education and not to provide religious training or theological education. And at this point, I stand prepared to answer any further questions on behalf of the agency.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. On behalf of the committee, I'll begin with a couple questions for the applicant. After consultation with some of our members, there's a couple areas that have surfaced through both the VDOE review as well as from our deliberation where we would appreciate some further consideration and dialogue. The first is on the area of access to all students. So one of the gating criteria in your application is that students must be participating in the dual enrollment program. And it is our understanding, and Dr. Armstrong's going to correct me if we have this incorrect, it's our understanding that the statute makes very clear that lab schools need to be open to all students. And when we've met with other interested applicants, this is really a point that the committee has underscored, that the school needs to be open to all students and open, if necessary, by lottery. Could you address if you would be able to adjust your program of study to ensure access for all students and just kind of talk us through your consideration of admission?
You want us to go up there or?
Yes, please. I believe that we have just to make sure for a microphone, and then that way you're on camera. I think that that'll just make sure we have the audio recording. Thank you.
And thank you for that question. That is something that we, as a governing board, all of our partners have continued to discuss. One of the aspects that I'll come at it from two different directions, and I'll also want Mr. Lee to address it as well. Virginia has a very robust CTE program throughout our school divisions. And so when we looked at the population that we really wanted to attract to meet the healthcare professional fields that we were looking at, we really felt like those advanced courses, the foundation sciences, were going to be key for the success of those students. We also wanted to make sure that we did not in any way adversely affect the CTE programs. And so I feel like, and we've even met with all of the CTE directors in our school divisions to talk about how there may be opportunities where they may have a CTE student who actually could benefit from coming to some of the coursework or career forums or other activities within the lab school. We may find that we have students who don't do well academically in some of the foundational sciences, but they see a pathway through a CTE program. And so I do see that we would have some movement back and forth with that. When looking at building the curriculum, again, wanting it to be the courses that would be prerequisites for college degrees in the health professions and or prerequisites that the students would have to take as part of their college degrees. The rigor of those courses does expect students to be able to meet that rigor. And so because they're dual enrollment, we had to turn to our K-12 partners to say, what are your expectations or requirements for your students to be able to take dual enrollment courses? And so that's why that was set as a entry point. If they don't meet that, we would put them on a wait list and then be able to look at them in the future for bringing them in at a later point in time. But we don't want to bring a student in that would then not be able to be successful in the program. I mean, we are going to be very alert to the students throughout the curriculum to find students immediately when they start to have difficulty academically. But we just don't want to put a student into the program that would really, really struggle in that academic program. You want to add to that?
Madam Chair, can I interject briefly?
Please, Dr. Armstrong.
And this is, as we know, this has not been a unique conversation we've had with any lab school applicants. I think in our work, continuing with the Emory and Henry team between now and if considered for a second review or even further, is to really work with Emory and Henry to revise their application to maybe think about this inside out. So instead of making the dual enrollment qualification criteria to be considered, because that would not be in alignment with the statute. That's just here, we have to meet that statutory requirement. Then maybe it's simply thinking of a way that if a student who is admitted through this open process to be part of this, and then at that point shows that perhaps they may need some work in getting to the point where they're eligible, and maybe part of this is going to be building that student up at that point. It's just a matter, I think, of taking this and thinking about it in a different way. This is a common statutory pothole that we've been navigating. I see Susan Williams smiling as well. We discussed this with many of our applicants. So we'll continue to work with the Emory team between now and our next step.
Yeah, this, so that you know, this is it is a pothole or a bump that we've had with other applicants. And the committee has taken a very strong and consistent view with the statute that all means all, open means open. And we really are of the belief that the differentiation that can occur in lab schools is the ability to push in and provide additional support so that any student really could access the curriculum. And so I think that's something you can probably confidently work with the VDOE on, but it will require some modification to the application and further review. And Dr. Moran, would you like to comment on this item or have some feedback on it?
Well, I think that, you know, I always sometimes put on my former superintendent hat because I realize that both school divisions as well as community colleges can set up barrier requirements for students to enter into coursework, whether it's on site, whether it's dual enrollment on a school campus or not. But I do think that the biggest issue in this situation is that the way the statute's written, it really does tie our hands to be able to say, what can we do to do open enrollment? But then if we have students that are students that would likely not achieve success because of academic issues, how is it that we can scaffold some support for those students to be able to participate? Because I think everybody in this room, everybody, superintendents, teachers, educators, parents, community members, us, what we want is for every student to thrive and be successful in these programs. and not to have it set up as a failure for them right from the start. So I think that's probably the biggest hurdle that you have to overcome is how do you build a scaffolding mechanism into the proposal?
I think that one of the things that we have considered is building an on-ramp and an off-ramp for this, for student entry or student exit. It is a rigorous program. You know, I certainly want people in healthcare to take the courses seriously and their jobs seriously. So we want to give students, every student that has an interest in the program, an opportunity. And it may be through some of our career forums, maybe through some of our shadowing opportunities, just exposure. So those are opportunities that we think that we can provide for each of the students that has an interest in the program.
And that might be that we add additional, in our pathways to be able to look at coursework that would be appropriate for those students. And I do think that would then communicate back or collaborate back with the CTE programs. And so it's probably building a connection.
I would love to comment on that because one of the pieces that I saw missing in the pathways were those entry level areas of focus, whether it's a certified nursing assistant, perhaps an EMT or a paramedic, those kinds of programs. Yeah, that give kids that maybe are looking for a way to level up at some point, a starting place. And I did notice that when I was looking at this proposal over the weekend, I did a little research and saw that 93% of the healthcare facilities, particularly nursing homes, really are showing deficits in terms of certified nursing assistants, for example, which is a very different pathway than going towards an RN.
And we were intentional, and actually that was conversations we had with our partners from the very beginning. Because the CTE programs, particularly in nursing and EMT, are so strong, there was feedback from our partners that they don't want those programs to be hurt in any way by the development of the HEALS program. And so we didn't want to cannibalize or pull students away from those because they are being so successful. So I think we can look at better ways to partner so that when we have students that might need to bridge both, that we can provide that opportunity. But that's why we didn't include the career pathway of, say, the LPN or certified nurse assistant or beginning at EMT, is because those are so well developed already through the school division CTE program.
And you did mention that in your presentation, that bridging opportunity. Thank you. Dr. Moran, I have a couple other kind of committee-wide comments, but did you want to go through any questions that you specifically have first? That was a big one. I know that we have all, as committee members, kind of voiced, but I want to defer to you. That the other area that you're on. Good, I'm on. I think the other area that we consistently talk about with folks is that sustainability piece and really focusing on it. And we got a broad brush of all of the potential ways that you would be able to bring additional resources into this. And I appreciated that. But I do think that there probably needs to be in a next review more specificity about how that might work, particularly with foundations. I'll add, on behalf of some of the conversations I too have had with committee members, it has been really reinforced. The intention, these are startup funds, investment funds, right? And the goal is durable, sustainable schools. And this is, it is a challenge for applicants. And it is something that we have heartily dialogued with other interested parties with. I absolutely, Mr. Davidson, appreciate your candor. I mean, it is a struggle that we have heard from other applicants as they're trying to think through how will they sustain the work. Why that becomes so incredibly important, particularly for a program such as this, is your people are your program. Your staffing will be your program. And so we want to ensure that if students enroll in year 5, that there's a year 6 and year 7. So I think that'll definitely be an area for you, for the applicant to further workshop. And I know you have some of your foundation members on the phone, and maybe this additional push will help, but we really do have to have something more concrete, because
we need to know that if students enroll, that this path is going to be able for them to complete the process too. So those are two very big areas. I've heard from other committee members, they're very excited about your application. I do want you to know that they are very excited. They're very excited they understand the need for what you're proposing. Pick up the news every day. You see the shortage in the healthcare fields. We understand from the data that you provide and from our own knowledge of Virginia, the unique geographical challenge that you have as an applicant. But, you know, and we are very excited about those components of it. Here's what I would suggest at this point, just because I think these are two really big questions, is that we are going to, if there's no objection, the committee is going to refer you back to VDOE for further technical support and guidance. And we would do so in the area, number one, of ensuring that you have access for all students, including utilizing the current guidance on the lottery. Number two, that there's further information on sustainability, a concrete plan for how you will sustain this effort. Three, I'll roll into this. We heard based on the staff report, further for clarification on your summer program to ensure its accessibility. And then four, as Dr. Armstrong surfaced, the modification and clarification around the student code of conduct. If there's anything that we've missed in this deliberation, certainly we will want you to have a chance to address it with staff through that dialogue. Those first two in particular, the statute's very clear, and we have to abide by it. So, are there any questions or clarification at this point on that direction that you, or any guidance that you might need from the committee? I want to make sure that you have the information, and I know Dr. Armstrong will be available to you. And once, in terms of process, here's how it would work. You'll work with the staff. You'll have time as a team to deliberate based on the feedback that you've heard today. Think about your academic program, and you can submit a revised application. And we will take that application and work with Dr. Armstrong and schedule you again. But those areas would need to be addressed, and we'll need more information.
Would that have us coming back as a second review, or would that be considered another first?
That would still be your first review. Yep, that would still be your first review. At this juncture, not cleared yet, first review. Yep. Yeah, those are key components for an application to clear. That's a great clarifying question. And another question we frequently will get from applicants is, for example, we sometimes have applicants who get feedback, when do I have to show up again? Am I on a shot clock? Do I have to be back in 30 days? We want to ensure that you are successful. If you take as much time as you choose, but understand that we do also have a process and a timeline by which we need to move through applications, given funding obligation requirements. But, and Dr. Armstrong can further inform you on that. But I do want you to know that you'll probably need to move with some degree, due speed. But we also want you to have the opportunity to deliberate, as we've said to other applicants through the process. Quality is the focus. That may not always mean expediency, but quality is the focus, and durability and sustainability. So
absolutely. And I will say that one of the reasons why I signed on to be a part of this standing committee is that too often I think that what we have as a process that exists when these kinds of funds are available, where you hit a gate and it's either yes or no. And that what we've really tried to build into this process through Chairwoman would discuss leadership is the opportunity for our applicants to go back, to be able to do some revisions and come right back to us. And Andy will be working with us because we do want to be as expeditious as possible in that turnaround. So take your time, but don't take too much time is what I would advise. Because we do have timelines we have to meet. So, but I also, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled, not just with your proposal, but listening to the other two today and the ones that we've seen before this, that the diversity of innovation that is very specifically going after local and regional community needs through these proposals and the partnerships that are being built, I think it's exactly what we would say is the best work that we can do as public educators, is to build those kinds of relationships.
Yeah, we love to hear, hey, I had an idea. I called the superintendent, or the superintendent called me, and we realized here's an opportunity for us to collaborate together. That's been one of the most powerful elements of this, is an opportunity for K-12 to intentionally work with higher ed and blend that experience and create new on-ramps for students. So we're very thrilled about that. So thank you for coming before the committee, and continue to work with Dr. Armstrong.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We look forward to seeing you back.
Okay, at this time, we are going to proceed with item D. I know that we've been going for a little bit. I might entertain a 10-minute break.
I'm good.
Okay.
Unless folks that need a break.
I'm going to entertain a 10-minute break.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and we'll regroup and we'll begin with item D. Thank you very much.
I can X this one out, right?
I think so. And I think he put it like over here, where it's conveniently.
Back over here. Okay, come back over here. Why can't I see you?
All right, fine.
Oceans, man, those are famous in Charlottesville. Oh, yeah. It's bagels, yeah.
City. You know, things really. Yeah. We have. And this is a great project. It is a great project.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're most welcome. Thrilled to see it. Thrilled. With my brothers.
Everybody runs a better meeting when there's food available. Nobody wants a case of the hangry. when they're at- All right, well, we have reconvened after our brief recess. We're now going to take up item D, which is a lab school update. Dr. Armstrong and I will co-present this item. We understand that there are a number of questions regarding lab school applications, both from applicants as well as the public and other interested parties. And the purpose of item D today, as I indicated in my opening remarks, is to provide an overview of our process. So here we go. Oh, perfect. Here we go. The purpose of our presentation today is to provide information on the House and Senate budget measures, to review the school lab process for consideration, including terminology that is used behind the scenes for lab school applications. We'll also provide information on the approved public lab schools, including data on number of students served, school divisions involved, and communities served by these programs. And lastly, we will provide information on all school lab applications that are currently under review by VDOE as part of our usual pipeline update. Go next. In recent weeks, there's been legislative activity in both the House and the Senate as it relates to college lab schools. Here on the slide, you can see the language that was approved on the House floor, as well as the language that was approved on the Senate floor. If we go to the next slide. Here is the process to review a college partnership laboratory committee application. In particular, I want to dial in on where the committee falls in this process and where VDOE falls. As you can see across the green band at the very top, this is the first really step in the process to submit a college lab application. This is when the Institute of Higher Education, as noted in the small yellow boxes, submits its application. Once the application is, quote, submitted, which is a term of art we use internally in our process, it now begins the under review process with the Virginia Department of Education. We're going to go into that in just a little bit greater detail. Once it clears the review process, which can be iterative and involve technical support visits, on-site coaching or counseling on the application, and there's a back and forth iteration. Once an application is found to be complete and compliant, as the chair of the committee, I'm contacted by VDOE, and at that time, we schedule the first consideration of the application. At this juncture, a college partnership lab committee application is considered pending. Once an application has gone through first and second review of the committee, including a 10-day public comment period, which effectively affords 3 opportunities for public comment at our first review, 10-day public comment period, and a second review. Once it has completed this entire process, if an application earns the support of the entire committee, then the application is forwarded to the State Board of Education. At this time, the application is considered to be before the State Board of Education. An application is only considered to be approved once it has cleared this entire process and has been voted on by the State Board of Education, either on first and second review. And this is particularly important if you go to the next slide. Oh, I'm going to actually have you jump one more. Thank you. So a couple terms of art. that we use through our process that we want to share with the applicants as well as interested parties. You'll see that when an application is first submitted and it begins the review process, we consider it to be under review. When it has completed that internal subject matter review process, it is deemed complete and compliant. When it comes before this lab committee, as considered today, for example, for Mountain Gateway or UVA, then it is considered pending. It is only considered an approved application once it has gone through this entire process, including receiving an affirmative vote from the State Board of Education. Okay. That's just a terminology that we use. And sometimes when individuals ask questions, they might combine a pending application into an under review application category or an approved application category. So we just want to really clarify where an application is in the process. And we want to talk a little bit about the subject matter review team. We heard a little bit about this already from Dr. Armstrong. When the standing committee created this process, it was very important to the standing committee in recognition of the numerous state laws and areas of policy and legal expertise that is required to operate a public school in the Commonwealth of Virginia, that the college lab applications would be reviewed by a team of subject matter experts at VDOE with a deep subject matter knowledge in the area. For example, the VDOE process you've heard from Dr. Armstrong is incredibly thorough. And the committee itself internally is comprised of experts at the Department of Education who are familiar with budget and finance, teaching and learning, special populations, which may include special education or ELL, gifted or bilingual, who have a deep subject matter expertise and familiarity with the legal requirements, such as assessment and accountability, and teacher education and licensure requirements. And the committee relies upon the expertise and the internal review of the subject matter expert team to be thorough and thoughtful to ensure compliance with all applicable state and federal laws. And we're going to go to back to the other side.
The previous one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not this one. They got a little out of order, my apologies.
That's okay.
So two other things we want to highlight in our review process that we believe really help ensure that we have high quality applications. The first is that at any point in this process, both the Virginia Department of Education as well as the standing committees are available to provide technical assistance, support to applicants to assist them in the process, to advise them on the requirements of the law, and to share guidance or other information as it has been considered by other applicants in the process. In fact, 5 of our 7 thus far considered applicants have actually utilized on-site technical assistance visits to help support their application consideration. The second element that we have added into this process, and we're so happy to see Susan Williams on the Zoom call. She's not up right now for the screen, I can see, but I know she's there, is that the Office of the Attorney General is also working in alignment with the Virginia Department of Education and concurrently helping review applications as they come in through the process and along the process. So the Office of Attorney General is reviewing the applications through the process. And if an application is affirmatively approved by the State Board of Education, the Office of Attorney General is also assisting with the contract review and ratification. Some of these elements go on behind the scenes, and we just wanted to really surface those elements for the benefit of the public and for applicants to understand both the support that is available to them as to understand also why we have legal support throughout the process, given all the requirements.
Madam Chair, can I
Yes,
add
please.
a bit more context?
Please do.
Our work with the Office of the Attorney General is important because as we referenced today, there are distinct and unique statutes that relate to operating and establishing a college partnership lab school. Another dimension of our work has been to have the Office of the Attorney General begin to review applications and to make contact with counsel at the higher ed partner earlier in the process, which will hopefully condense that 90-day statutorily required window that we have to execute a contract from Board of Education approval in order to make this all happen prior to June 30th, 2024. So they have been great partners and have taken on that work to ensure this moves efficiently.
And we are so grateful for their support and engagement. And the committee, on behalf of the committee, I want to again thank the VDOE subject matter team and Dr. Armstrong, certainly your leadership, but all the members of the subject matter expert review process. So we would not be here without their deep knowledge of this. And we know that this is an additional duty and they've really been hard at work. One of the frequent updates that the committee also receives is our much beloved pipeline update. This is quite the chart. We have added to the chart our internal terms of art that we use, such as when an application is submitted to the Virginia Department of Education, you see that it's now listed as being under review. When it comes before the standing committee, it is listed as pending. And it is, we can show, so this chart kind of helps you track. In total, as I indicated in my opening remarks to date, we have received 21 applications in total. I'm going to have you just go forward one slide real quick for the summary. We've submitted, we have received 21 applications in total, 4 applications. I'm going to give you the verbal summary here just because we toggle back and forth between the two. So we always like to make sure you have the visual as well as a written summary. But we have 4 applications that have been withdrawn. Thus far, we have 4 applications that have been approved, including the Virginia Commonwealth University, Germanna Community College, University of Mary Washington, and James Madison University. Today, the committee considered 3 pending applications, and there remain 10 additional applications to be reviewed that are currently under review by VDOE. And Dr. Armstrong, would you like to go back to this prior slide and provide us with some additional insight into these particular applications for both the committee as well as the public?
Certainly, Madam Chair, and thank you to the members of the committee and for all of our partners who have submitted their applications. And as mentioned, we continue to do whatever we can to expedite this work with our subject matter expert team, but at the same time ensuring that our applications that eventually we hope make it in front of the board are of quality, are sustainable, are durable in the long term. And with that, though, we're operating in a fairly compressed timeline. We have until June 30th this year to obligate our College Partnership Lab School $100 million grant fund. And as you can see here, a lot of this, as this pipeline update has evolved, we've added more detail around that funding. We have found that I think we're in the enviable position of really having more interest right now than we do have funds. So we have had to ensure that we're prioritizing applications based on their date of submission and really working with a recent influx as we approach this deadline of applications. As Ms. Wadiska noted, we do have 10 applications that are still under VDOE review. So for the folks who are here today, who took the initiative and took the risk really to do this earlier rather than later, I commend you for being that brave to do so. And that again shows the progress in green over there from left to right for you all relative to some of our other interested applicants or applicants that are currently in the pipeline. We do have a handful of planning grant recipients who have yet to submit their applications. I am continuing to work with them to get their application to a place where it can be submitted and considered for our agency's review with the subject matter expert team. But you can see the bottom lines here where we have really outlined the beginning fund balance, the total funds have been requested.
Actually, Dr. Armstrong, would you mind just moving Mr. Bailey?
Can I move Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Bailey, we adore you, but unfortunately you're sitting right over the lines on money. And so we're going to move you to the side, pop him over maybe just a little bit more to the.
If I go off video, does that
anymore? There we go. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. My apologies, but I know that everyone's very interested in seeing the fund balance, the projected fund balance, the current fund balance. So I want to make sure that that information is
No,
readily
that's
available.
much more important than me. So thank you.
And you can see that here. I will note that we've received guidance, and this has come up in conversation standing committee before, that any funds that are remaining in our lab school planning grant fund can be moved into that operational pool of money. This $100 million has been separated into kind of three distinct buckets, which has been planning grant $5 million, $20 million of startup money, and then the remaining 75 for the operational fund. So we will be able to make some shifts within that greater fund as we work to accommodate these requests. But those 10 applications in review, you can see what has been requested. I expect that as we move forward, some of those requests will change as budgets are deliberated and scrutinized and whittled down to make sure that we're doing this in a way that is in accordance with our expectations as an agency, as a committee.
And the committee will update this chart in light of today's consideration. We will provide a more updated version of it to our website. We have a website where we periodically provide updates. Again, though, given interest, we'll make sure that this one is updated quickly, put back up for public usage. And every time that there's an application submitted, a new version of this chart is procured, and we can provide this in real time if necessary to anyone who's interested.
Chair, am I correct in assuming that the column that's the last column is the one that potentially could be impacted by current amended legislation at the state level in the General Assembly?
That is our understanding, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
According to our, thus far, based on the 4 lab schools that have been recommended by this committee and approved by the State Board of Education, we show a total state funding award would be approximately 31 million.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And then if you were to, Madam Chair, integrate into that number those that are currently pending, then you see there it comes out to closer to $50 million.
We did not know the outcome of today's deliberation, so we included a pending line. And we will update this in accordance with the deliberation that was conducted today by the committee. So for everyone who's looking at this, know that these numbers need to be updated based on today's committee consideration. Okay. I think we have, as part of our slide deck, for those who may be interested, we have quickly summarized the lab schools that have been approved thus far to date, including VCU, Germanna Community College, as well as University of Mary Washington and James Madison University. In addition, we have put together a little chart that summarizes the number of students that would be served by year. Because we are both visual learners as well as lovers of reading, we provided a graphic for where lab school applications have come in from. Red indicates those that are approved. And when we say approved, again, it does not mean approved solely by the standing committee. We are here to advise the state board. It means that the state board has approved those applications. We can see where green is submitted and then, or the green, excuse me, is currently under review, and blue indicates those who received additional planning grant support. Lastly, we've also put together, because again, we're receiving a number of information requests, a list of the school divisions, public school divisions that would be served by approved and pending lab school applications. Again, this chart will need to be updated in light of today's consideration. But this was as of the development of this agenda. This includes the school divisions, public school divisions that would be included in as partners in the public lab schools. And is there anything, Dr. Armstrong, that you would like to further add?
Nothing further, Madam Chair. I feel we've, even through the course of our discussions today with our presentations, I think we've really touched on a lot of this and appreciate your leadership. And I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you. We talk about a lot about Team Virginia on this work right now, and it really does take a big team. A lot of folks, both on the committee, the State Board of Education, Virginia Department of Education, and most of all, the applicants themselves. It really requires a team to get through the application process and to work with partners. So with that, I'm now going to move on to item E, which is the Virginia Lab Schools and Innovation Network. Dr. Armstrong will be presenting this item.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Get that. I'm pleased to be joined today by Dr. Dave Myers. And Dr. Myers is my supervisor. He is the Deputy Superintendent of Data Research and Technology, Virginia Department of Education. We have worked together in a few different roles, I'd say for the better part of 20 years, actually, even some local school divisions. And he has been, as you saw, he's a member of our subject matter expert team, is really there to help support our work in the agency with our lab schools. And I especially wanted to join us today in order to provide some additional detail about our work to establish networks of innovation here in the Commonwealth. And this is now a standing agenda item that we have. And one point that was brought up early on in this conversation was really the first step has to be, how do we inventory all the innovative programming happening here in Virginia? And that doesn't include just our lab schools, even though we're going to integrate lab schools into this. It also includes our regional centers, our CT centers, any option of, I guess what's the best phrase for this, Dr. Myers?
Choice.
Choice. Really, the student has in Virginia that might not be the comprehensive school to which they are assigned by enrollment address. We want to capture that in a transparent, visible visualization that's available to the public, and then use this information to really establish our network. I mean, you've got to have an address book before you start to send out your invitations, and this is kind of our address book for our innovation network. So this will be eventually, and it is still beta, I would say, we're refining data, but I've got Dr. Myers here, who I think really the best thing to do would be to have him jump on here and test drive it for you. And you all, this is a very special occasion because you're actually, I think, the first,
No, go ahead over here.
the first group that has had a chance to see this visualization. It's run through the Tableau interface. And I think it's down below there.
This is a much anticipated presentation for the committee. We have been talking about an inventory. We know that Virginia has a long history of innovation in public education, and we really wanted to build upon that history and create an ecosystem where schools can collaborate, support one another, learn from each other. And we really wanted to know, where are those schools? How many do we have? And so this has been a conversation that the committee has been having probably for almost 18 months now. And this is our first opportunity to see this dashboard.
It's about as long as you've been doing this work.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Maybe more.
One of the things that we've done over the last couple of years at the DOE is we started dashboarding a lot of things. And it's been pretty exciting. We have some folks that have become pretty proficient at using a BI tool like Tableau. And this is one that Lisa Coons and I talked about a few months ago of looking at putting together. And that is, how do we track what kind of choices a student has outside of the traditional classroom? And one of the things that really prompted that was just the beginning of this year, looking at lab schools and thinking about what opportunities lab schools are going to present, but there are also hundreds of other opportunities that students have. And we had, for the history of the VDOE, we've never really had a clear picture of what that looks like. I mean, we know these regional centers exist here and this governor's school over here. And so lab schools was the impetus to kind of really put this all together in a dashboard. So what we did, and I apologize because I don't have the screen here, so I'm going to have to lean around here and try to work my way around looking at what you're looking at here. What you have right here is the total enrollment of students in Virginia, 1.26 million students. We have 66 regional centers across the state. And that serves 10,309 students, and you can see it's a little less than 1% of our students. I personally, I think that's great that we have these regional centers. I've been a part of them. I know Dr. Moran, you've been part of these regional centers as a former superintendent. And they're fantastic. And you can see them all here dotted across the state. But what that didn't tell us is everything about choices that students have, and I will get to that in just a moment. Again, lab schools are not here yet because they will be when we get them here. And if there are other things that we want to display about lab schools, we will be able to do so. But for right now, you can see here, I can go over here and apologize, this is a really clunky way to be able to do this because I can't see very well. But I'm going to take an example here. I'm in the Richmond area. I used to be a superintendent in the Richmond area, and I oversaw Maggie Walker Gouverneur School. Can you see it? Here it is, right here. Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to use that as an example. I pull this up here. This will show you here. It will show you all the school divisions that belong to Maggie Walker that are part of it. It'll tell you the enrollment of the 15 or 16 school divisions that are a part of it. It'll tell you how big this particular center is right now, and it'll tell you what percent of the region's students are being served at that school. We'll also tell you, it should tell you here exactly how many students are from each of those centers and what the percentage of that make up that center. So it really gives you an insight to Maggie Walker. Here's who attends, here's what it serves, here's what it's doing. And you know, that's one of 66 centers. I can show you another one here, just real briefly, because I know the morning is running long here. I'm going to clear, I'm going to take us down to Bridging Communities. Where's that one? I'm going to hit this and hit that off in a minute.
Okay, one more down.
Sorry, I
That's
really.
okay. It's tricky on the angle.
Yeah. So if I do this, and this one's a little bit different. I happened to at one time be a superintendent in New Kent County. And so I know this center really well. And there are 6 school divisions that belong to this center. Actually, I really would have done this a little different if I had known it was going to start a drive like this. But these are the schools that belong to this regional tech center. Now I will tell you, if this is being streamed and we said this was beta, there's something happening with our data pool here. I know these numbers aren't quite right because I know the numbers, and so our team's working on this before this goes live. But this gives you an idea of who is served at this center, the percentage of students at that center. But as I said just a few moments ago, what I was worried about when I met with Dr. Coons about this was, this is great, but having been, both Andy and I spent a long time in Henrico County at one time, we worked in that same locality together. And I can tell you Henrico has a really large, robust specialty center program. All the high schools have one, some have as many as 3 specialty centers that you can attend. They have tech centers that you can attend that are half-day tech centers and real specific programs. They have so many different opportunities that are not shown in a regional center like this. So I give you an example. I have a child who's in college now, but she attended a school in Henrico County and went to a specialty center. It was a choice program that she had to go to. And so what we did is we surveyed all of the school divisions, and we asked them to tell us, gosh, I'm going to scoot around here so I can actually look at this and try to drive instead of doing that. I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna pick on Albemarle. Does anybody in the room know anything about Albemarle?
Maybe just a few people.
Although they've continued to evolve.
Yeah, I was at their technical center that sits over here right outside of Charlottesville last week. Phenomenal, the stuff they were doing. It was really, really neat. But if you go here down to this, there are a few, I probably shouldn't have done that. There are a few, I should have tested that we're still working on getting their data. But so I'm sorry, Moran, I'm not able to show you that one, but I'm going to go back here to the one that I just mentioned a minute ago because I know it very well. And that's just use Henrico as my guinea pig here. And Henrico is going to show you their enrollment right now is 50,464. I think it's our 6th or 7th largest in the state. They have 6,822 of those students are enrolled in specialty programs. And that means that 13.52% of their students are served in specialty programs. That number is way different than 1%, right? Or a little less than 1%. So this shows Henrico does have a very robust setup like that. But I will tell you that you can go here, and I mentioned the other, poor Henrico and New Kent, they get picked on all the time by me, being the data guy. But if you look at New Kent, it will show they have 3,536 students, 2.77. So it's a smaller county. They're not going to have as many people to be enrolled as many, but you know, they do have multiple programs that students that can be a part of. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an idea of what this looks like and what we will be able to include with lab schools. And if there's other information we're going to want to include about these centers that would be helpful to the public to see who's going there, what's being offered. There's all kinds of things that we can look at. So just wanted to take you on a little test drive of the dashboard.
We teed up a little bit of that data that you saw,
Yeah.
descriptions of lab schools, and Dr. Myers, correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll be able to at some point hover over the lab school.
Yeah.
And then see, and kind of take this data and look at it differently, what students feed that lab school, and then get the same overview just on a center level as well.
Well, and we could tie it to what they're studying at that lab school, what types of credentials students get coming out of that lab school, what, you know, there's all types of data that we can put there. Sky's kind of the limit on that. Well, the limit is really what you collect and what you have. I mean, obviously, data collections take quite a bit.
I wonder how the data percentages would change, given that many of these regional centers are totally focused on high school students. That if you separate out elementary, middle
Yeah.
from high school, I bet you would see a very different percentage even in a place like New Kent.
Yeah, and we could do that. We haven't done that on this yet with those self-reported. So for instance, in Henrico County, where you saw they had a lot of specialty centers, that included IB centers for middle school. I think that included a couple gifted things for elementary. So there are.
So
some
you
that
could
are-
potentially drill down to that data.
Absolutely, yeah, it's just, right now, what we're working on is building a collection that school divisions feed into what's called our student record collection or our master schedule collection. These self-reported programs are not built into that, and so we're working on a way to get the student information system to automatically report that data for us. So that's when I say the sky is the limit is really what we're collecting, we can feed, but we can build any dashboard we want to build. We just
And ultimately, for me, what this does is in providing these kind of data sets to the entire state, is if I'm a superintendent and I'm in X division, and I'm really interested in how do I get this kind of a program up and running in my high school or middle school,
right.
I'll be able to see the Charlottesville piece and go, oh, let me reach out to
Right.
and learn more about, so I'm not reinventing the wheel.
Well, and that's why I think having some information that we drill down into about what are they offering at the UVA, you know, at the Charlottesville UVA lab school. I mean, I just learned a little bit more this morning, even about how they're gonna implement this lab right here, the Charlottesville City Schools or with students, using also UVA students, which I thought was really, really neat. Just kind of talking that through. So I'd love to be able to put that kind of information so people, because UVA doesn't have to be the only lab school that's being built to build our teacher pipeline, right? Or medical or whatever. So
Do you see the potential that school divisions would be able to upload some information to this site? Is that?
I don't know about that, but they certainly, we would have the ability to upload the information to us to feed. So it wouldn't necessarily be to feed. We would validate all data before. This is why this is live right now, is because I can't quite validate the data, but as soon as it's validated, it's going to go live.
I love this.
Yeah. So if you know, we have, I'm going to put in a shameless plug really quickly here. If you go to the DOE webpage, there is a data page, and we have, it's called interactive dashboards. There's a ton of them. You want to know down to 54 different position types of how many vacancies we have and how many, it's really, really powerful stuff that you can start building with this kind of information. So yeah.
This is fantastic. It's incredibly exciting to me. If you can toggle back to out of the regional, you have governor's schools, some CT, you got other categories, right?
Yeah. Find my mouse over here. Here we go. Let me go back here. We want to go to printers.
All the way back.
I was trying to do that without going backwards here, but let's see if we can. See if we can just back.
Well, Dr. Myers is finding that what I'm really excited about is the fact that our lab schools, we know they share a lot of the same themes with some of the CT centers and regional centers. Getting them connected and learning from each other is going to be important. And this will help facilitate that.
Exactly. I mean, part of the genesis of these conversations has been, I'm sorry, Dr. Moran, I have my back to you. I'm trying to watch the screen and I have my back to you. I'm in an impossible position here of, but we really wanted to have an inventory of, we know, Dr. Moran and I know, other committee members know, there's really innovative programming going on in our public school system. But we've never captured all of that. And as we're thinking about building out and scaffolding an ecosystem of innovation and learning from one another and sharing, right now it's catch as catch can sometimes.
Yeah.
And we really want to get more intentional to understand what is available and to be able to share that information. And so I'm really excited to see this. It's been, I'm sure, a tremendous amount of work. I'm appreciative that you've betaed it here with us.
Yeah, you're
This
actually
is
the first ones to see it.
so gracious of you and so brave. I want to acknowledge that too. What I understand from kind of some of our conversations with the committee and the staff is I suspect that you would very much appreciate at some point some more feedback on this, the public's engagement in it. Is it accurate? Does it capture what you want to capture? Like, because we really want to build out something that's valuable, tool to everyone. It includes, like, there were superintendents here today who might have some really fantastic program that's not included, right?
So other dashboards, we've done that.
Yeah.
We've gone out to the field and we've really tried to get some feedback on that. So it's a great point. And if I may, you just summed up, like, I couldn't have summed up our purpose for doing this. We're trying to capture not only, what we have, but then to try to spawn more innovation. And so that's really, and there was just no way to even know in the state what kind of innovation we had going on. This is kind of the first attempt to do that.
I mean, at some level, I've always said that every superintendent naturally has a strategic portfolio. Very few have an innovation portfolio. The state has a strategic portfolio. This becomes, I think, a place to put in what's the state's innovation? What's our innovation portfolio for Virginia?
That's right.
So,
Well, and I'll share, there's two other things that we've talked a little bit about. There's a huge value proposition in having not only more research, but more information and sharing of practice across the profession. And when, Dr. Moran was gracious and invited me to come and speak to Valen. And one of the things I talked about there was it's important to be innovation amplifiers. That if we look at, for example, the tech sector, one of the things that they do to accelerate innovation and to share and scale is they have what's called innovation amplifiers. And I think our superintendents, our school board members, the standing committee members, so many individuals, we're all micro versions of innovation amplifiers. And information like this would afford us the opportunity to do that at a larger scale.
Yeah.
That if someone was to ask the simple question of, hey, what are some of the great things that you're doing in the Commonwealth? Hey, here's a chart. Here's a kind of a snapshot of what it is. So I think we have a lot of things that we can and are very proud of in the Commonwealth, and will benefit by connecting those elements together. The last part of this, when we were chatting, all of the committee members and some of the other folks around the Commonwealth, one of the reasons we really wanted it in a visual, I'll never forget when we first put hunger data on a map for the Commonwealth. It was such a powerful moment for me because you could literally see where more resources were needed.
Those were people.
Yeah, those were people.
Yeah.
And I think what will be helpful about a visual representation of this is we also want to know, are there regions, communities that need more support? And that's going to help us start to better understand where we can be a partner.
Why we use percentages in here. Yeah.
Where you see a lot of gray, you know, there aren't many offerings, and that's where you can focus your efforts.
That when we just considered an application today.
That you saw that
Yeah.
was isolated down there.
Exactly. So thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming to our meeting.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy and I actually work really closely behind the scenes together. Like I'm very familiar with everything that's happening, but today I said, I want to come be a part of it.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I do appreciate Dr. Myers being here, and I think I've covered most of what we were going to cover in our slides. And again, I hope to stay on this pathway in this timeline to really get this debuted, hopefully this spring, and then this summer, take that and put in our lab schools, make them part of this Tableau as well, and develop that network, and think about kicking that off in some way, shape, or form this fall. That's where we'd like to be.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. All right, so I think we have discussed enough today, so I'm not sure there's any more discussion of current issues. And there's no public comment on non-agenda items. So at this time, I would just share that the committee meets every month. We typically meet the first Monday of the month, unless the Monday is a holiday, then we move on to Tuesday. But for the next 3 meetings, the committee's next scheduled meeting will be Monday, April 8th, Monday, May 6th, and Monday, June 3rd. That is the train. If you want to be on it, get your ticket. But those are the next 3 opportunities. So with that, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Awesome.